Welcome back to the World Championship Series as we get closer and closer to finding the 2 players from today that are starting up here in Cologne, Germany to join the 8 that have already qualified from Burbank, California in groups A to D. Joining us now on the desk, joining me and Sam is James. Welcome to the desk.
Thank you.
Good job so far with the commentary.
Thank you.
You've been stepping it up, I see, over the last couple of weeks, continuing to improve and improve and improve. And
thanks.
I'm happy that you delivered again, James.
Oh, thank you.
He's not a guy for words outside of casting, Sam. He only says thank you and okay usually when he's on this desk. But you've been doing great, though.
With my guesses, with my predictions.
100% so far.
Yeah.
It's a great start, and we'll get your prediction soon on this next one. He's been hitting everyone so far, James. You've been listening. You can see, James.
No pressure.
No pressure, James. I know it's a little bit nervous coming up here with me and Sam. We've been killing it so far.
We're saying actually how it's 3 Brits before, but now it really is.
It really is 3 Brits.
Now it really is.
You even got the scores right, correct?
Yeah, everything so far. 100%, 100%.
This is a great moment.
Let's hope you can keep going with it, Sam, because we're not done yet with the day. As you can check in with the bracket to see exactly where we are if you're now just tuning in for the very first time. As 3 Brits have fun here on the analysis desk. As Lil Bo and Kung Fu Panda is our 100% confirmed winner bracket game, which we will play as match number 4. We're currently about to jump into match number 3, which is Neeb versus Shanna. And we talked about this before going to the break, is that this is the match, and you mentioned it in the cast too, of the guys who are playing each other's races from 12 months ago.
Yeah,
race switch.
It's a fantastic dynamic, because we very, very rarely, actually, now that I think of it in WCS, if ever get to see that, unless you get something random like Nurture versus TLO, but that was from years and years and years ago. So to see these guys go up against each other is going to be special.
Yeah, I don't think there's been anything like that in StarCraft, though. We've seen 2 players switch races and then go up against each other. Like you said, that's probably the one and only example I could imagine as well. I don't think there has been, right?
I didn't think there has been.
I don't think so.
No.
But let's talk a little bit about this matchup then. This is a difficult one to call, I think, because once again, these are 2 players that haven't had that much information out there from either one of them. We can talk a little bit about Neeb, first of all. He's a player who's come here for the 2nd time. It's his 7th now Premier League appearance, which I think is very, very impressive to come here for that amount of times. But he hasn't had the easiest time so far. He did take a map away from Lil Bo, though.
I think, obviously, both of the players that were supposed to win did win. But I don't think they necessarily won in the fashions that, obviously, the 2-0 from Gung Fu is a 2-0, but it wasn't the cleanest 2-0 that we've seen. So just because both of these players are in the lower bracket of this group, it doesn't necessarily mean that they're playing bad. It just means that the players that were supposed to win, the players that are better, did win. But it doesn't mean that they're playing bad. So I think these 2 going up against each other now, it's going to be a very close game.
Neeb really impressed me, though, in his series against Lil Bo. I mean, obviously, he hasn't been playing Protoss for nearly as long as someone like Lil Bo would have been, or someone like a more experienced player.
Yeah.
But he showed some great decision-making in that series against one of the very best here in Europe right now. And to see these kind of regions clash up against one another and Neeb take on that position after not having seen him in the WCS in 2015, is really good for him. And I think he's got good prospects. Yeah,
and going up against Shanna, I mean, Shanna's now having to play 2 matchups back-to-back. So he's playing Terran versus Protoss previously, and now we'll do it again. One advantage that Neeb's going to have going up against Shanna is that he's just watched this guy's style, and we saw exactly what that was. It was very heavy medivacs, multiple times, multiple positions. And now he has that information, which Shanna had an advantage coming into this group with. He is a little bit more exposed.
Yeah, I feel like Neeb, he knows Terran just as much as Shanna knows Protoss, but at the same time, like you said, he was able to watch those games. And I think if he picked up on the fact that his Shanna's aggression and Shanna's multitasking and control wasn't quite up to par as what it should be, if he picked up on that, then I think that if he goes into this with more of a laid-back approach, just defend the drops and then counter-attack when he sees fit, I feel like he's going to be in a great position to take the series.
Okay, well, Shannon now setting up for his next match. He definitely took the defeat in a way that we haven't really seen before, just kind of staring off into the distance a lot, not really maybe just thinking about what was going on. But here is Neeb, who, as you said, played very, very well and now is in a prime position to move forward over the Chinese player who's traveled a very, very long way to play here today.
It's a good point that you bring up about Shanna, though, when we saw him at the very end of that series, be it I'm not sure what it was. Maybe it was quiet complacency, but maybe it was a little bit of shell shock after he opened up so well in that first
that's what
game.
these guys said as well.
Because he looked really, really dominant in that position, and he was all over the place, really on top of Kung Fu Panda. But then the resilience that we saw of Kung Fu Panda really took its toll, and then the second game was kind of a bit of a bop, right? So I think he was probably looking more back onto that first game, saying, I should have been able to take that one. Maybe a little bit annoyed with himself there.
Well, here is the map order. Coda, Iron Fortress, and Cactus Valley is going to be the battlefield for these two players. Sam? So it's not...
You know, it's the same starting two maps that we saw in the previous series. I feel like they're going to play out exactly the same from Shana's side. And I feel like if he does that, then Neeb's definitely going to be able to kind of pick out a few holes in Shana's play like we saw is possible from Gung Fu's last map victory that we saw. So if he does go ahead and play the same style that he did, I feel like he's going to be in a bit of trouble.
All right, well, let's take a closer look at the first map here. It's Coda. It's the most played map within the WCS. Everybody loves it. No one ever vetoes it. Talk to us about a couple of things here that is going to be super, super important for Neeb when going up against Shanna here.
Neeb needs to make sure that he splits his army perfectly. If he doesn't, if he messes up just one time, then it can snowball like we saw happen in the Gung Fu game. It can just snowball and spiral out of control, and he could end up losing 30, 40 workers like Gung Fu did. So what he needs to do is just make sure he defends perfectly. Then I think going into the later stage of the game, where it seems like he's most comfortable, we haven't seen his PVT yet. He's about to show us right now, so we might see now, but in his PvP, he's definitely comfortable in the later stages of the game.
Okay, it's time for predictions here. I know you want to do this one. James, let's jump in first. You can join it so far. Both guys here have got them right. Not quite maps for Pig, but he's got them two right. Hopefully you can get one as well. Who's going to win this?
I'm going to go with Neeb 2-1. I think his understanding of this matchup will be able to carry him forwards, especially after what he's previously just seen.
All right, Sam, come on, golden boy.
I hate to agree with people, but I've got to agree. I think 2-1 for Neeb. I think he's going to take it. I think it's going to be a very close series, but I think he's going to eke it out.
Okay, thank you very much, gentlemen. We'll have more from you later on today. It's time to go for the commentary team, and this time it's going to be Todd and Pig.
Thank you for the analysis, guys. We are going to be heading into the elimination match here, Todd. How do you think this one's going to go?
Well, you know, even though it's the losers match, it doesn't mean that they're necessarily playing bad. It means that they've lost.
Some amazing...
I love you, Bling. This was just great.
We're just having a little bit of a giggle back here, of course. Todd can't help throwing out those punches when he can. But we are going to be going into this match, and it is, of course, a very important one, the losers match. It is the elimination match, and neither of these guys wants to come here all the way to Cologne, Germany, from the other side of the world, and then go out in two series. We can see, actually, a really unique hotkeying there going on from Shana as we hop here into Kodo. And we'll be hopping right into that game in just one moment. Of course, we are just starting up now. Neeb facing off against Shana, the American versus the Chinese. It is a Terran versus Protoss match, and not only that, these are two players who have actually changed from their previous races. They've done the swap-a-reno, they've swapped sides. Of course, swapping from his previous race, Terran, now playing as Protoss, representing the US of A. It is Neeblet. Or Neeb, as we commonly know him. Looking pretty strong in that first set. He wants to make it out here.
And his opponents hailing from China, playing as red, of course. It is playing for Team X. It is Shana. X team, rather. Impressed me a lot, actually, in that first match, even though he ended up going down 0-2.
He doesn't seem like
that first map in particular, that was crazy, man.
It was really, really nicely played in parts, and he doesn't seem like the fastest player in terms of like multitasking from all sides, and I think it was just the general structure of his play, though, right? Yeah. He's one of the few Terrans I've seen so comfortable just expanding across the map so much. I
mean, not fast. He used to play Protoss, of course.
Of course, you don't need too much APM for that, Todd. You know all about that with your old Warcraft 3 hands, right?
Wow. That went out of control way too fast, Pig. You weren't supposed to redirect that at me, but it's okay.
All right.
You measly tiny esports earnings.
It's all right. I play Zerg. I just A-move anyway. Spawning up here, of course. We are just seeing the gate gas opening from Neeb. And
interesting second pylon, actually.
that is really odd. Just a slight adjustment there. What do you think that could be for?
I think maybe just to spots later on, like whether or not there is an eBay going down on his natural. In terms of Reapers later on, I don't think he comes in play too much because like usually as Protoss here, you'll have like a Stalker and a Mothership Core in both places at that ramp towards the main and around the natural to make sure that you're on points to defend.
And of course, I have actually seen Shana do that engineering bay block in a VOD on this map before. Looks like Neeb's been studying that play as well. Going to come down with 2 probes. He's not going to have any of it. He's already got his Zealot on the way, and he's going to make sure there's no chance of that Nexus being delayed. Meanwhile, on the other side, Shana's Reaper is hopping out, and he's just going into that fast command center follow-up.
And Shana, as opposed to when he played against Kung Fu Panda earlier, he pulled SCVs off his refinery here. So he's not going to be going into a factory. And he did that just after the probe left his main base. So Neeb, he's not going to know about this. And there's a very good chance he's probably anticipating that there's going to be a factory behind it. So if he starts getting ready for this and like sets up defensively, and Shana then goes for a quicker third base than usual, there's a good chance Shana is going to be in a good position economically.
We also potentially could see that fast marine pressure we saw out of him previously. We are seeing a second barracks out of Shana, looking like he does want to ramp up just that bioproduction here and doing a bit of a tricksome opener.
Yeah.
Of course, really smart change up because we did see in that previous game, he did go straight for the marine pressure into the fast factory, and the Widow Mine drop might change it up here. Neeb on the other side looking like he wants to progress. Now, we do have to point out, Neeb, he does struggle a bit in this matchup. He's only been swapping into Protoss for about a year, and this is one of the really mechanical matchups. I'm sure you know, Todd, drops coming in from all sides. You really need to be on point as a Protoss player, and if we look at the qualifiers for the previous couple of seasons, Neeb has been eliminated many times in Season 1 and Season 2 qualifiers from a lot of American Terran players. Massa, of course, you've got QXC in there, you've got Intense. All those guys have been getting the better of him. So I think Neeb, hopefully, has really been studying this matchup and working on it, because he's going to need to tighten his game up.
Yeah, I mean, definitely knew that he had at least one Terran here in this group. I wonder what's this build is intended here exactly by Shana. For a moment, I thought he might go for a third command center, but he restarted mining from his refinery, starting another one, and now going for Steam Pack with just 2 barracks. So I guess this might just be a standard, going into a factory and then Medivac with just 2 barracks. Probably add on at least 1 more barracks in a moment and then go later on into a third command center if you wanted to. Usually it's either after 3 barracks or after you throw down a 4th and a 5th.
So Shana looking like he might want to do a more conservative opening here, looking towards that macro game, right? Getting out a lot of bio, delaying that factory and starport tech, and looking like he doesn't want to commit to that Widow Mine aggression. You have to remember, this is, of course, the elimination match, and I think Shana, he feels so confident that kind of 2-2 mass bio Viking ball stage, and we also saw the power of his EMPs. But first of all, he is moving across with this marine pressure. He wants to try and force out that photon overcharge, but Neeb is so well prepared. There's already 3 stalkers here. They're microing backwards, already focusing down one of the Marines, not taking a lot of shields damage, but it looks like the Mothership Core's heading down. The probe's being pulled. Neeb does not want to use his photon overcharge here, but the Marines, they kill 3 probes already, pushing into that mineral line, taking down another stalker. A lot of probes starting to go down, and it is finally held off as those last Marines are cleaned up.
Yeah.
Was that worthwhile, Todd?
I don't think it's worth it to lose 5 probes like this. I think using photon overcharge, especially since he's already on 160 plus energy here, Neeb, you would have lost 0 probes there. That would have been a very easy hold, and I think that would have been a lot better than, the 41 probes he's on, as opposed to the 33 SCVs of his opponent. So, not a big fan of that, but I guess it might come in handy with the next few drops coming in. And in particular, Neeb, he got to watch Kung Fu Panda playing against Shana earlier. He knows that Shana's going to want to do a lot of drops. Usually a player doesn't do that one game, and then the next time that they play, like seed back and macro. That's not going to happen. He knows that these drops are going to be added for him soon.
Interestingly enough, he may have wanted to save that photon overcharge as well in case there was the Widow Mines coming, right? We saw the same opening out of Shana, so Neeb could have been saying, I need this photon overcharge, I need to hang on to that. So I believe the mind games have worked really well. We see there Funker showing there's just such a limited vision of what's going on in Shana's base. Neeb really is just going off what he's seen in the replays, in the VODs, what he's seen in those previous games. And Shana is just building up his macro. He's adding so many add-ons, and this is Neeb's first look. This observer coming in now, this is where he finally starts to see exactly where Shana's tech is at.
I really like what he did though. He started at 3rd Nexus with only 1 gateway and Colossus tech on the way. And then now he's adding on more gateways. He just made 2 in the first place, and I wouldn't be surprised if he added on a few more. So that's a very, very strong build to go for a third Nexus and then add on enough production facility behind it to make sure you don't die to the follow-up drops or even attacks.
Oh, the Observer does spot the double medevac coming in, but there's nothing in position to stop it. And they're going to go right in onto this fast third base. Has to cancel that. And of course, that's a nice pickup for Shana. He needs to limit Neeb. Keep him down on his bases. And we see the fast third command center, or relatively fast, going down for Shana behind this. And Shana wants to have a poke in. No Colossus is out yet, so the Nexus overcharge is forced.
It's actually weird to see a Terran add on a third command center almost all the time like this. Oh, actually, you're going to miss the Observer here with this scan, but almost every time like this before barracks 4 and 5. Usually nowadays, Terrans, they always add on those barracks before going for that command center. So Shana is going to have a relatively fast third base, and I'm guessing he's pretty happy with the cancel he just got there.
Yeah, very nice macro build up here for Shana. We've seen he excels in that late game, or that mid to late game phase. Of course, he doesn't really let Protoss get too far out of control. His upgrades have been rolling on. His +1 armor is on the way. He's already got +1 weapons finished. He's going to push in here, actually seeing that there's no force fields there. Comes in here and starts to kill a lot of these Stalkers and Sentries. Very nice blink micro from Neeb, but the Colossus has to pull back. The overcharge goes down again, but there's just so much bio here. The Widow Mines are even running into the fight. Shana's force coming forward, but Neeb's micro has been strong. He's keeping the Colossus alive. It needs to stay up to hold on against this.
Yeah, even though Neeb, he had to cancel that third base and he was, I guess, stuck on 2 bases for a long time. His gateways, they finished very, very late here. So he didn't have enough units here to defend properly against this. And now, even though he held, he traded very, very poorly. He lost a very important sentry here with the Guardian Shield. One of his Colossus took a lot of damage. Shana, for some reason, is walking on the map and he's going to be losing a bunch of those units. But I don't think he cares too much because across the map, he's got that third base up and he's starting to saturate it. Second E-base on the way and armory as well. And here we go with the drops. We're going to start right here and right now.
This is where it begins, the endless train of aggression. You have to remember, looking at the supplies, it can be a little bit disingenuous because it looks like, oh, the Protoss is a bit ahead. But remember, Shana has been investing a lot more in economy rather than army. He has delayed that 4th and 5th barracks, so he really doesn't need to get a huge amount of damage done here. He's just going to be poking and prodding, and in a couple of minutes' time, as more upgrades kick in, as his army hits really critical point, that's where he's going to be looking to fight. But so far, Neeb's defense is strong. He's warded off this drop on the left-hand side. He's got his army spread out very well, and Shana's just starting to move up on the map and gain that map control, but it just doesn't look like he has enough forces to push that advantage right now.
Yeah, I think Shana might need to scan, make sure that he kills all of the observers, and then maybe try something like a big dupe drop in the main, because if he was to attack on 2 fronts, like the main and third base, and then Neeb does the same split as Kung Fu Panda earlier, then he's going to be defended, and he's going to be in trouble, because we have double Forge being used right now. So even though Shana does start 2-2 before the Protoss there, it's all about being able to do some damage, because we've seen that in the late game, he wasn't able to do quite as well as he had hoped for in the previous game, even though it was a very specific game, clearly, and Kung Fu Panda played it fantastically, of course.
The Observer's going to spot this huge drop. He's going for a Doom drop on the third. But once again, he's actually missed 2 scans on Observers this game. So Neeb still has 2 Observers in key positions on the map. He sees this coming. He's completely in position. And this is yet more time slipping out of Shana's hourglass. He needs to get damage done soon. Like you were saying, Todd, there's a timing on this. Finally, a 3rd scan kills one of the Observers. But Neeb doesn't even really care. At this point, he's got a nice Colossus count. He's got his double upgrades, chrono boosting them as hard as he can. And he's up on that 3 base full saturation. Neeb, every second he gets higher in supply, it is better and better for him.
What the hell is this assimilator on top right here? For some reason, Neeb made one there instead of like a Nexus, and he's long distance mining with one single probe.
Maybe a bit of an accident, maybe just a little bit gas hungry, realized he built an extra probe and said, hey, here's a job for you. But a bit of a skirmish down here. Shana actually trading quite well and trying to distract with his units, trying to push in on the third at the same time, but it looks like Neeb is in position. Shana's going to have to pull out of there, losing a few Widow Mines for free, and a very nice target fire on that medevac. Shana walking away.
Very, very good defense here by Neeb. Behind this, he's got the Templar Archives. He's halted Colossus production, so he's fully going to go into Templar Archives Storm with the High Templars and only make charge loss on the ground with the 2-2 that's about to finish. And that actually might finish a little bit earlier here for the Protoss players somehow, I guess, thanks to Chrono Boost.
That's a really interesting decision because we do see constant Widow Mine production all game long out of Shana. We've seen no matter what point the game gets to, he keeps on building Widow Mines. He's always got them in there, and they are so great against Charge Zealots.
But no Ghost yet.
No Ghosts yet, no. The Storm is getting On its way, the Colossus in the tricky zone. It's in the derp zone, just behind those minerals where Colossus always gets stuck.
Even in the main, there is a Stalker blocking 2 Zealots, like between those gates, for some reason. Look at these guys.
Oh, the Protoss units are all getting stuck on each other. The SimCity's working against him. Shana cleaning up that assimilator says, you will not mine gas here. And it looks like he's still zoning around. Shana's getting to that point. I believe his 2-2 has kicked in now. His army is reaching critical size. Shana wants to fight. He wants to fight now. He has a 30 army supply lead. Storm isn't done yet. This is Shana's moment. He wants to make the fight happen here.
Yeah, he's gonna get caught though by these Colossi. And start taking a lot of damage. Storm's about to finish. If those High Templars were to get killed before... Ooh, they got very close to those Widow Mines there.
I thought Shana was going to spread out there, but he didn't. His units stayed very clumped up, and they took a lot of damage in the same time. As Shana pulls back across the map, this Warp Prism warping in a huge round of Zealots, going to take out the +3 attack there, pulling Shana home and buying time. This was Shana's undoing against Gung Fu Banda. Constant Warp Prism harass, constant Zealots coming in from behind, because every second that goes by, Neeb's upgrades are getting stronger. He's getting towards the Death Ball. He's adding Storm, Colossus, Archons. He's going to be getting a bigger and bigger army. Shana needs to lock down his defense. He needs to get those ghosts out, or he is going to run out of time.
He lost so much already in this game here, Shana. I mean, in trading, didn't do nearly as well as when he played earlier against Kung Fu Panda. And now finally, kind of being forced into that Ghost Academy situation, starts a bunch of turrets in the main. I think Shana might just go into full turtle mode here because he's done attacking against Protoss.
He's reached the point where he can't just invest
Point of
in
no
that.
return.
And this
where
is
you
the
go
point.
full happy.
You go full happy, Ghosts, Vikings, go for the pure high-tech army, planetary fortresses to defend. Is this viable, though? Is this something you can make work? Maybe a little bit outside of Neeb's comfort zone, but Neeb is just playing this so calmly, so patiently. Look at this, 4th base on the way, Zealots going around the edges of the map. Neeb looks like he's hit that comfort zone. We saw it in his PvP. Once he gets to late game, he is so comfortable.
It's so funny to see actually like Neeb even like make decisions like he's on the go, like even going for the double forge. It's like, what would I hate the most playing against back when I was there and in this situation where I had canceled the third off a Protoss.
A huge flank coming in from Shana. The Marauder's coming in from behind, but looks like Neeb does manage to pull out, realizes just in time. Oh, if Shana
on the left-hand side forced to the lift on that CC, by the way.
Oh, they did, but the Vikings getting a few shots off. Ooh, Neeb's in a very precautious position there. Very cautious position. Warp Prism is also coming in on the right-hand side. Meanwhile, we see the Zealots hitting the 3rd base. Shana getting pulled back. He's getting pulled this way and that. He needs to try to orchestrate that nice fight, but look at this. All of his Widow Mines deserted in the middle of the map.
Oh, the Prism goes past the turrets on the right-hand side.
It just skimmed past that missile turret in the back of the main base. Oh, and another huge Zealot warp in. That is going to be disastrous. Look at this. We're seeing Shana is just pinned back. He wanted to go for that turtle game, but he's not even succeeding in getting the shell up. The turtle without his shell is just a slug, basically, and it's just not doing well right now.
Yeah, adding on the Dark Shrine here for Neeb was brilliant, by the way. He squeezes in a bunch of DTs as well that are doing a lot of damage. Shana is just falling apart.
This is just such beautiful counterattacks from Neeb. Distracted with the frontal army, hit the left at the same time, slid the Warp Prism in the right. And look at this, once again, Neeb coming in. This is actually a very ballsy maneuver because Neeb's army supply is so much lower at this point.
But the great thing about this is that you can just retreat and run backwards and storm your way back. There is no way that Terran can chase this kind of army. He gets stormed actually on top of his army here, the Vikings. Neeb fully sees these Vikings coming in. He's got so many storms here to work in his favor, and only very few ghosts are available. He's gonna run back and storm his way behind him.
Hungry Templar. They want to take on this army. They want to throw those storms in there. Neeb maybe being slightly overeager, but look at this. You can see he's controlling so many things at once. You can see the pristine mechanics of a pro gamer and so many gateways going down. He knows his late game. He knows that Warp Prism, that warp in reinforced potential, that's where his power lies. And it looks like he wants to come in for the fight. Shana poking away, but those storms just so well cast by Neeb, constantly keeping him back. Look at that, another good storm on the Vikings and more DTs running into the 3rd base.
He's trying to spread them out here a little bit so they don't get all killed with one single scan. Shana, again, steaming so much, and his army is one single group, so it moves together and gets stormed together. And every single time he takes so much damage here from this. Gravity drive was made, by the way, in the meantime, so those Warp Prisms, they can just fly by those turrets and go straight into the main of Shana if Neeb wanted to go for more.
Ooh, nice Widowmine shot there on that High Templar. Neeb, though, look at this map presence he has. He is so far up in Shana's face right now, and another tragic storm on those Vikings, obliterating them. So much low HP Marauders, so many low HP Vikings. This is not a healthy Terran army. There's a lot of it, but I don't know if it's enough high quality right now. There's just not enough hit points.
Oh, he has to steam so many times. He's not even repairing the Vikings anymore. Shana is kind of broke. He's not got that much minerals in the bank in comparison. 42 SCVs to 72 probes. Neeb walking on the 5th base. He needs way more cannons though, because Neeb is kind of exposing himself to getting his entire army impeded, in which case he might be in danger. But with how bad of a shape the army of Shana is looking, surely it's going to be so hard for him to eventually move out and go for any kind of attack. He needs to wait like forever, and he finally starts 3-3. He's been fighting against 3-3 like forever. He realizes that he needs those upgrades, so he's gonna start it now.
Oh, these Templar coming in from every direction. Shana just can't get the time to heal up. He needs time. He needs to heal this army. He needs to add the ghosts in the 3-3. But Neeb is just constantly applying the pressure. Shana, you've got to give him credit for how patient he is here. A lot of other Terran players would pick up and just try to doom drop or try to engage the Protoss army. But Shana is waiting. He's going to say, I can try to get these upgrades if I can get enough ghosts, if I can take some bases, if I can just get one perfect fight where I EMP all the High Templar, I can still make this happen. So Shana is hanging on for that one perfect engagement. But Neeb, realizing this, has 19 High Templar spread all across this middle area of the map, and he is coming in unrelenting.
It's some kind of psionic map field, I guess. Like,
oh, Warp Prism in the back again.
For Shana to attack into this is just so ridiculously hard. He needs to send the ghost ahead. Instead of that, he's always sending his army forward. He's getting stormed on his entire army there.
So many Vikings go down once more, and these High Templar just keep coming in from every side. Shana just can't handle it right now. Neeb is just applying too many pressure from too many angles, and he's executing it so damn well. Even these Archon shots doing a decent amount of damage there, and Neeb's bank is growing. Look in that bottom side of the map. He's got 3-3. He's got plasma shields. He's got 4k minerals almost in the bank, 1,300 gas. Even though his army's a little bit smaller, he has so much to fall back on behind this. He has such a great spread of High Templar.
Neeb's actually going to expand next to where his army is. That's how comfortable here is feeling. He's starting more and more upgrades. I have to say, Neeb's upgrades, they never start late. Every time he starts them on time, and he's never missed a beat with them.
Neeb is just unrelenting.
Oh, he's having fun. This is basically the reason why he switched to Protoss, is to do this all day, all night. This is the thing he used to probably lose to a whole bunch, and now he's joined the dark side and he's quite enjoying it, Big.
Oh, just masterful play, and Shana is pushed out of that game, has to tap GG. Absolutely dominating play from Neeb there. Really looked confident in that game. He's got to be happy with that win, of course. He did go out in that previous series, but it was a close one. And after a win like that, where he must have felt so in control in that game, he's got to be very happy with that. You can see him feeling a little bit confident. Shana, on the other hand, of course, feeling a bit of the pressure. And
I mean, Shana, it's time to pull boys here. Like, you don't want Protoss to reach Storm anymore.
time to go for the old 2-2 timing or 1-1, pull the boys, get in their face and finish it maybe. I liked the change-up in his opening that game, not opting for the fast Widowmine aggression. I feel like it did kind of trick Neeb out. He got the cancel on the third base. And even though he got a nice trade against some Stalkers and Sentries, Neeb's defense was just so solid from that point. And Shana, I feel like he kind of missed that timing to get the damage done. Neeb, on the other hand, he was just so solid.
Yeah, that's pretty much it here for map number 1. We're going to go to a break, and then we'll be right back for map number 2. See you guys in a moment.
Welcome back to the World Championship Series. We did just witness Game 1 where Neeb did take down Shana in a decisive victory. We are about to go into map 2, and this is the elimination match. So this is basically where you figure out if you came to Cologne to win your matches and show you're made for that round of 16, show you want that spot in Poland, in Krakow at the season finals just 2 weeks from now.
Yeah, Shana has been struggling, and he's going to be back here on Iron Fortress, where his previous series was closed out by Fu Panda with a 7-gate blink. So this time I'm pretty sure he's going to be a little bit paranoid. But even though he's up against Neeb, somebody who definitely prefers to be on the macro side of things, will be interesting to follow.
Both players looking really focused there. We are about to hop into Iron Fortress. Neeb looking very serious. He wants to close this out. Of course, spawning here in the top right-hand side, representing America, playing Protoss as blue, it is Neeb.
Burka.
Yeah, you can see that confident face there. He's getting into his element. You can almost see it growing on screen.
And his opponent, starting in the top left-hand side, playing as the red Terran, playing for Team X or X Team. It is Shana.
It's so important for Shana to get a win here. He wants to come here. He doesn't want to go home 0-4. It's always the worst feeling. I've had my fair share of 0-4s in my time. And we've seen he's making a lot of these games close. He's definitely capable of it.
But
he
to be
just
honest,
needs to bring it all together.
I mean, you're Australian, so I don't want to offend you, but that's like one of the longest travels possible, to go from China to Germany and then get Protossed 4 times in a row. It's like not a good feeling. That flight home is like not going to be a happy one.
It's a big time difference. You can definitely feel the effects of jet lag and so on. Of course, Shana hasn't had many opportunities to compete overseas. Interestingly enough, he is going to be scouting early this game and opening up with that Barracks Rax. You said it, Todd. You called it. He might be feeling a little bit afraid. This is his elimination match. Effectively, if he doesn't win here, he's out of the tournament. He has to fly home without any victories under his belt. And, in the past, he's always opened up CC first in his previous games on these 4-player maps. But this time around, we're seeing he's going to be going for that very safe Reaper opening. He wants the information this time around. Yeah,
he wants to make sure he has at least something out on the map that can give him some information. Because, to be honest, last game, I don't even know if that would have saved him, because those gateways, they were out on the map being made somewhere. I'm not even sure he's realizing that now, but...
The game against Gung Fu Banda on this map,
Yes.
Yeah,
he went for the same pylon down the ramp, by the way. This is interesting. I wonder what the reasoning behind this is exactly. Maybe if he gets interviewed after, we can find out, but...
I'm sure Bling will get onto that, asking about that. It's almost funny because it's like this, hey, here's my second pylon. I'm definitely not proxying anything. You can kind of imagine he does a proxy with an extra pylon just to throw his opponents off. But
it's funny because as Terran, you even see this, you're like, wait, is he up there or did he go through there somewhere earlier? Like, depending on when you scout, you might not realize, but in this case, I mean, there's a Nexus going down next to this. And Shana already figured out where Neeb is exactly, with the 2 of the locations on the map being scouted. That poor probe.
The Reaper is actually against violence to probes.
Look, the probe is confused.
Straight past.
He was dancing for a second. He's like, I should be dead now. Dancing and confusing.
Neeb dancing him in victory there, just kind of celebrating life. And the probe, interestingly enough, is coming down here to a kind of odd, scary location. Meanwhile...
You might proxy something. Look at that probe. Yeah, that's for Stargate here, my friend.
Ooh,
he was to go for a pylon there.
Yeah, could go for that Stargate after Nexus. Of course, the Reaper coming in here. Shana wants to see what's going on. He sees 2 pylons. He sees a gateway. He does get a probe kill, that Reaper. Very nice micro from Shana to get that, being as annoying as possible. Doesn't see any indication of tech, and also doesn't see a 3rd pylon down. He knows that should be down by now, so that Reaper should go out looking for that.
3rd command center is, oh my god, so risky here for Shana. And look at this, the Twilight goes down. If Shana goes out on this map 2 times in a row to a blink all-in, I think he's going to be really sad.
The Reaper isn't scouting anymore. It looks like he sees this Nexus and he just thinks this is a regular setup. Oh, the Stalker coming out. Neeb wants to push back this Reaper.
Oh god, Neeb is making a pylon on the map. And I'm not thinking Dark Shrine right now. I'm thinking hidden gateways. This is bad for Shana.
This is actually a really interesting opening from Shana. He's opened up 3rd command center into factory as well.
Yeah, he's going Dark Shrine. So in the end, that third command center might come in really handy with the extra scans that he's going to have from triple orbital.
The extra scans could work out really well there. Of course, Barracks Factory, though, he's not going to have many units. Notice, like, it's 6 minutes. His factory is only just halfway done. This is a really slow build-up in production. Shana needs a lot of time to himself. Oh, the Reaper Scout denied there, just blasted off the edge of that cliff. Now, of course, this isn't a complete all-in off these Dark Templar, but if they get in and start disrupting everything, this could slow Shana's production down so much. And Shana really needs time for these 3 orbital commands to finish. He needs to start dropping those mules, and that's when his economy will kick in.
Actually, he kind of needs to save this energy for these DTs because they are not too far off being warped in here. About 30 seconds until the Dark Shrine finishes. The pylon will start just now, which is going to be 25 seconds build time. So in 25 seconds from now, DTs will be warped in. It's going to be a whole 2 of them because there is only 2 gates here for Nib. And at least 1 scan is going to be needed to clear them up. He scans the main, sees a Twilight that's not researching. Blink. That does start. Oh, he started it. He started Blink and then he cancelled it. That's actually an even more massive tail.
Oh my gosh, but there's no eBay going down. Shana here is on autopilot. He has not responded to his scouting information. He's just adding more gases.
There's 1 scan available here in his main.
He only has 7 Marines, though. They can barely even fight 2 DTs front on. These DTs are just coming in here and they're doing massive damage. Nib is feeling confident. He wants to go on to the final game. He wants to get out of this group, and he's doing massive damage with these DTs right now. Shana is completely unprepared. No engineering bay on the way. His SCVs are running around in disarray. He drops the scan. There's no stim.
Oh my god, this is so bad. He's just going to tap out. Enough is enough.
And
that poor Shana.
5 GG. Oh. A really harsh way to go out of that game. Very quick loss there. But very decisive, clean play from Nib. I think Nib definitely deserved that victory. It's always sad to see a player eliminated, but Nib going on. It's a good recovery story from him, and he's definitely going to have a good shot in that next follow-up match.
I think he needs to give a hug to Shana, though, because, like I said, that was a long travel, and then he's an extern himself. He's DTs. Like, you have to have a little bit of compassion for the poor man. Like, he just lost to Blink. He was in the previous series, but to be honest, Shana put way too little effort into scouting. The scan was late, and then from scanning the main of Nib, he should have been able to realize what was happening. I'm really surprised that somehow he probably thought that it was Blink or something, but even then, even against Blink, he wasn't particularly prepared, I think.
Oh, it's a crushing situation. You know, there are small lights on the Twilight Council, even when it's not upgrading, that looks similar to the upgrading lights. So if you're in a bit of a very tense situation, you're playing on a stage like this, you could definitely misread that. And it's such an unfortunate thing, having seen the tell, not having been able to respond to it. But Nib there, clean, crisp, calm play, and especially that game 1 was just so powerful. Absolute dominance with the constant storm play. So, of course, Nib will be progressing now to that final deciding match to see who comes out second in the group. But next up, we are going to be going to the winners match. And it's just a really clean situation there for Nib. How do you think Nib's kind of feeling going into the next match after that?
Probably like he has nothing to lose and that he can definitely do better. Because he's going to have just 1 more chance to advance and he only has to win 1 match.
Well, let's go find out from those boys on the analysis desk what their thoughts are on the match.
Thank you very much, Pig and Todd. Great casting as always. Joined by James and Sam on the disc there, on the desk. Very fast series there. You got the predictions right, guys. Not exactly correct, including the map score, but it was right in the overall winner. And we'll talk about the overall winner in a second, but you got to be feeling for Shana here. Traveled a long way to be here. The very first game he played, he did look okay. He was looking decent. And then it just went rapidly downhill from there, Sam.
It did, and the first game, it was kind of back and forth at the start. Like, it looked like he was in a pretty decent position. Nib was being a bit too greedy, in my opinion, going for that fast third off 1 gate against Bioplay. That's never a really good option or choice, in my opinion. But going on to map number 2, he went for another greedy play, and I don't like that on Iron Fortress. I feel like Iron Fortress is the map out of any that Protoss are going to all in on.
Yeah, and it's funny because it happened in the first series as well.
I know, and it wasn't necessarily an all-in from Nib, but it was a bit of a gamble. Like, if the DTs don't do too much damage, then you're going to be behind. So the fact that he didn't really prepare for anything, he did have 3 CCs, so he did have the scan potential there, but obviously he just dropped a mule, he just scanned the main base of Nib as well. So at that moment in time, it wasn't there, but going straight up to factory, skipping the eBay, it's just a bit too greedy in my opinion.
Yeah, that seems to be a common trend, unfortunately, from him today. And he's gone now from Group E, but Neeb lives to fight on another game, and it's the 3 Protoss players left now, Kalaris, in this remaining set of games that we have upcoming. But you saw Neeb play earlier on in this Protoss versus Protoss. You're already kind of impressed with how he played. Do you think he has what it takes to tackle these other two? Because it's obviously not going to be easy. He's going to go through to the decider and play the last series of the day, but can he actually compete with the 2 players that everyone's looking as the favorites?
It is going to be difficult, I think, with Lilbo and Gung Fu being at the level that they are in PvP, especially in the European scene, which has known a lot of good Protoss versus Protoss players like these two. And especially with Gung Fu coming from a region where Protoss players have been really, really prevalent and really, really strong, it will be a tall order, but considering how he was able to play out some of those games, maybe there's a chance.
Yeah, I thought about making you feel a little bit old here, Kalaris, and myself too. Sam, I guess, is kind of in there, but the max...
I'm not at all. Don't even say that.
There you are.
Well,
I'm the young one.
You're only 2 years younger than me, aren't you? 1 year younger.
Yeah.
I'm 25.
I'm 23.
Oh, okay, so it's 2 years. You're the old man.
Got Dad on the end.
Dad over here.
I never thought it would
Uncle
come to
James.
that. But yeah.
But the oldest player is 20 in today's group, and it's crazy to think about, especially in the StarCraft region. There's been a lot of young talent coming up, isn't there? You've got 17, 18, 20 in today's group. It's kind of insane that.
Yeah,
old man James.
It's pretty crazy considering, I guess, my journey into esports started when I was like 20, 21, and now I'm 27, so it's really strange to think that I've been around for a while, but these guys, they've got plenty of time.
You're 7 years older than Lilbo.
I know.
Just had to rub that in a little bit, boy. 7 years older than Lilbo.
You are old.
You're old, mate.
Thanks, guys.
But that leads us into the winners match, which we'll be going to very, very shortly. And it is going to be the Frenchman taking on the German. 2 players that really stood out in Season 2. And we're going to be going to a quick break, but when we return, we will go to that winners match. I'm looking forward to this one. I hope you guys at home are as well.